So for the benefit of the people that say they don't know anything about AWS, when you go to the Cornelis YouTube video, you will see the last, I'll just open it for you. You will see the class that we did last. So you can watch the basic AWS essential there, the AWS essential, you can watch it there. So, and that's the purpose we did that class before this, so that you have that knowledge. But some people missed the opportunity, so that's why maybe you say you don't know anything about AWS. So just go to the Connect Site training under playlist. So you're going to see this one here. That's AWS Cloud Essential Focus. So this is what we expect you to watch to catch up. So we start with the basic introductions to AWS, and we're going deeper and deeper. But I will take some minutes to quickly explain to you what AWS is and why you need to learn about it. All right. So if you join a company today, or all companies out there, they are there for a particular business. Every company has one business or the other. They exist because they are serving people's need, or they are solving people's problem. So for company to solve people's problem or to serve people's needs, they need some applications to carry out their day-to-day activities. They need a place like a website where people can see what they do. And they need some applications too that their employee, or that they need, or they use to manage their employee. Application for management that they use to manage their employee. So if you go to one company, a company might have 2 different applications plus a website, and some might have up to 200 applications. So all these applications and websites, they run on what is called a server. Server is just a giant computer, like a desktop, but it's mainly to host applications. So when the developers, when they design or write code for the application to run, they have to package it, as in mold it together for it to run, and then they will send it to the server. Then when it gets to the server, it runs. And the same thing happens to your laptop. I mean, your laptop rather. If you buy a software today, that software is a bunch of codes. And those codes, they have been bundled together to just make it look like an icon that you can just double click. But when you double click it, you see that it starts running. So what is running is just setting, or it's just creating or performing the function that the developer wants it to perform, and it's listing those functions one by one. Like all the software that we are downloading now, if you read them properly, they are just writing a set of instructions, and those are the instructions that the developer has them to do. That's what they are doing. But they cannot run by themselves. They have to be run on a server. So that is why companies need a lot of servers. And these servers, they may start with 1, they may start with 2, some companies have thousands of servers. So these servers by itself, it also use some other devices. Like, let's say you have a company that owns a website, and they put their website on a server. If the website, some websites, like when you log in, like let's say, example, Amazon website, where you can buy goods and services. If you go to the website, once you see the goods that you want to buy, you click a picture or a description. Those pictures that you're seeing, they are actually stored somewhere. Most of the time, they are stored in what is called a storage. And that storage will be linked to the server where the application is running on. Then, when you put in your debit card or your credit card and you want to buy goods, your information, because you have to keep your address, your information are stored in a place called database. Then this storage and database, because you are keeping your information, they need to be secured. So the server too need to be connected to some security devices like firewall. Then this computer here, because this is one computer, a company like Amazon doesn't use one computer. They will have a lot of them. And all these computers work together to make the customer's experience better, right? So you might have to connect multiple computers together to make sure that customers are not receiving crashed websites. So when you connect multiple computers together and connect it to storage and database and security, this process is what we call networking. So as a company, they deal with a lot of devices, a lot of information technology devices. So initially, traditionally, what happens behind the scene is that a company that wants to start business, we have to buy their own server. They have to buy all the storage, they have to buy the database, and they have to buy the security devices, and they have to connect them together. And all of this, they can't be doing it in their own office. So if it is just one laptop, two laptop, I mean, one server, two servers, yeah, they can put it on a table in their office and they call it computer table. But when it started getting much, maybe like 10, 15, 20, they may create a room for it in their office and call it server room. But most time, especially all these large company, they have thousands of servers. So those, because the servers are now much and the networking and the devices, because they are now much, they can't put them in their office. So they're going to buy or rent a warehouse where they take all of them and they put it in the warehouse and they connect them together there. That warehouse is what we refer to as data center. So as a company has to deal with their own data centers. The issue with data center is that, excuse me, the issue with data center is that it takes a lot of maintenance. One, you need a huge amount of money, which we normally refer to as upfront cost. Upfront cost. So to have a data center, you need a bunch of money to rent the warehouse. So that is a huge amount of money that the company can use for something else. Then once they buy the warehouse or rent the warehouse, they need to buy all these servers. And not only that, servers is not just like your regular computer that you can just go to Best Buy or any store and buy it. Server, at times, when you order it, it's not always available. It might take some time before it gets to you. At times, it might take days, it might take months. And once it gets to you, you also need extra time to set it up. And once you finish setting it up, then you have to connect it to other computers too. So all those time, they are time consuming. Then after that, you need people there to make sure that everything works fine. And not only people, you also need some device like cooling system. You need power, like electricity. So all these things, it takes a lot of human power, money, financial capacity away from the company. So one company do, and let me say, most of the time, when you need a server, you don't get it immediately. It might take some time. And let's say, as a company, as the end of the year is coming, there's going to be a lot of buying and selling. So there are company that they always want to meet their customers' needs, and that is what every company expects to do, to meet their customers' needs. So because of this holiday that is coming, company will go out there and buy a lot of servers because they know that their customers are going to buy things from them, and that means they are going to have a lot of sales. So because of that, they need more servers that can serve all their customers' needs. And this server is going to occupy more space in the warehouse, in the data centers. So after the end of the year, maybe when we come to New Year now, towards the beginning of the year and towards the middle, all these servers, they will be redundant. I mean, they are not going to be used because there is no any special activity that is coming. So they will just be there in the data center, occupying space. So the company now, they are left with servers that they are not using. So in order for this not to happen, then company now think like, okay, what can we do to reduce our costs and not to be spending unnecessary money for servers that we are not being used? So a company like AWS, Google, and Azure that have thousands, if not millions of servers, that said, okay, why not sell this space or lease out these extra servers to other companies so that they don't buy their own servers? Instead of them buying their own server, like a company like mine that is very small, instead of me going and be buying a lot of servers, then I can just connect to AWS server and use their server. Then I only pay for what I use. And this is what happens. That is how all these cloud computing come into exist. So all these giant companies, they have a lot of servers that they are not using. They are now renting it out to small or other companies. Instead of those other companies to go and buy their own server, buy their own database, buy their own security, they are now leasing their own server, their own space to those companies. Then let's say now, because I need my website to be running consistently and continuously, I need server, right? So instead of me going out there to buy server, which at times in 1 day, in 2 days, nobody might even visit my website. And if I have my own website, I have to make sure it's always available so that in case if somebody go there, they will be able to do whatever they want to do on it. So instead of me spending money to maintain a server that nobody is using, then I would rather just talk to AWS. Hey, can I use your server? Then if anybody access my website, I will pay for only the period of time that they use my server. So that is what happens that makes company, instead of company having their own website, they now scrap or sell their own website and now move their applications and their resources to other companies that have more capacity, and they only pay for the server they use. So, for example, this one that I said earlier that, oh, when the festive period is coming, companies try to buy more servers. Well, since they are now using another people's server, they don't have to buy. So they just need to increase their capacity, increase the server that they list. Initially, if they are listing just like 5 servers, they can list more, like 10 servers. And when there's no festive period after the holiday season, then they just tell the provider that, hey, there's no more sales. We don't need 10 servers again. We only need 5 servers. Then they go back to their normal 5 server. So they are not left with server that they are not using, because it's now easy for them to scale up or scale down. And that is how cloud computing come into existence. So cloud is just that it's normal data center that we all know. But instead of using your own data center or owning your own data centers, you are now using another person's data center, and you are using it over the internet, because the AWS is not in my house. They are not in my street. They are somewhere they are. So the only way I can use their server is to connect to it over the internet. So that is why the definition of cloud computing is that you are using computer or computing services over the internet. And you only pay for what you use. So that is just a basic definition of cloud computing. So that is all I have. I believe that you guys understand what cloud is now. So for cloud computing, there are multiple companies that are offering or providing the service of cloud computing. Cloud computing is using of computing services over the internet. So there are multiple companies using or providing the service of cloud computing. So, but the giant one among them, the number one among them, is AWS, which is called Amazon Web Services, popularly known as AWS. Then we have the second to that, which is Microsoft Azure, or you just call it popularly known as Azure. Then the third one, Google Cloud. I don't even know that P in Google Cloud Computing. Maybe it's the computing, but it's popularly known as GCP. I know them as GCP. I think it's Google Cloud. Let me check the full meaning of GCP. But it's popularly Google Cloud Computing, right?
Platform.
Oh, platform. Okay, Google Cloud Platform. Okay, thanks. So, but everybody call it GCP, so nobody even bother to pronounce it fully. Yeah, AWS alone has 32% market share. Azure and GCP, both of them combined, I think these have 12, these have 11. Both of them combined, they have 22. It's not even up to, I mean, like 32 or something like that. So, but add Azure, AWS, and GCP, that is the majority. If you go out there to look for a job, the only one they'll be asking you that, do you have knowledge among these three, or any knowledge within these three? And one thing about cloud is that if you have knowledge of one, you have knowledge of all. That is it, because they are all the same. They just use different names for their services, just different name for their services. And some of them even go far to use exactly the same name for each of their services. So how do you get access to AWS to start using it? Let's say you have a company today and you want to deploy an application. So you have decided of like, okay, you want to use AWS. So how do you start? So for you to start using AWS, the first thing you need to do is to create an account with AWS. And if you want to create an account, go to Amazon. You see AmazonAWS.com. Let me check if that is. Yeah. So Amazon AWS, okay, or AWS Amazon.com, but Google is here. Google has made me lazy. I'll just search for it. Amazon AWS. That's all. So go to this first one. It's Amazon.aws.com. Yeah. Amazon, okay, AWS.amazon.com. Okay. So you can sign into the console, or you just create an account. If you have an account before, click on sign into the console. If you don't have an account, then you have to create an account.